FBI Director Chris Wray was on Capitol Hill yesterday testifying before the Senate Committee on Homeland Security about the elevated risk our country is now at as a result of the unrest in the Middle East. The brave men and women of the Bureau and in local law enforcement across the country have their hands full. But even that didn't stop a very prominent member of the Senate from playing politics because they just can't stop themselves. But first, listen to Director Wray describe all the work they've been doing.
The range of threats we battle each and every day is enormous. From cyber attacks to economic espionage to violent crime and narcotics trafficking and everything in between. We're aggressively working to protect America's economic security from China's relentless efforts to steal our innovation and intellectual property. We've seized enough fentanyl to kill 270 million people. That's more than 80% of all Americans.
Fentanyl, cyber attacks, China. The FBI is identifying any threat to America. They even rushed up to Maine to help in the manhunt for that mass shooter. And now the biggest threat to our safety is possible terrorism. As the war in Gaza intensifies, Director Wray is warning that it's not just the Middle East seeing an elevated threat level, but here at home too.
The reality is that the terrorism threat has been elevated throughout 2023, but the ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole nother level. We assess that the actions of Hamas and its allies will serve as an inspiration, the likes of which we haven't seen since ISIS launched its so-called caliphate several years ago.
It is scary stuff, and we should be grateful that the FBI and local law enforcement are out there trying to reduce the threat for all Americans. But you see, just appreciating law enforcement, as I do, it doesn't get you attention. Attacking them does. We've seen it from both sides, but right now, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, he was chair of the Homeland Security Committee for 6 years until 2021. So you'd think he would be laser focused on the potential threats to the country and supporting law enforcement in any way possible. But of course, that's not how things played out. Johnson wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to make the same point he and others on the far right have been making again and again, that confidence in the FBI is shattered due to political bias against Republicans. So while Wray is talking Hamas, China, fentanyl, Senator Johnson wants to talk Hunter Biden.
There appears to be an effort within the Justice Department and FBI to shut down investigative activity relating to the Biden family. Such decisions point to significant political bias infecting the decision-making of not only the Attorney General and FBI Director, but also line agents and prosecutors. Our republic cannot survive such a political infection, and you have an obligation to this country to clear the air. The problem I have is I simply cannot trust what the FBI is providing me. And I don't say that with any joy in my heart. That's a travesty. The American people want to believe and have trust in the FBI. We want credibility and integrity restored to your institution.
Now, remember, Wray's a lifelong Republican. But before I get to his amazing response, let me just highlight how unsupported Senator Johnson's premise is. Putting aside that the Hunter Biden investigation is also being overseen by a lifelong Republican in David Weiss, who was appointed by President Trump, was kept on to try to avoid claims of bias. And putting aside that Weiss has now thrown the book at Hunter Biden, the FBI critics conveniently ignore all the high-profile Democrats the Bureau has targeted just in the last few years. I've talked about this before. It includes former Democratic Congressman T.J. Cox from California, arrested in August of 2022 on charges of fraud, money laundering, campaign violations. He could be facing upwards of 20 years in prison, and he's complaining that it's all politics. Then there's Karen Carter Peterson, former head of the Louisiana Democratic Party. She pled guilty to one count of wire fraud, was sentenced to 22 months in prison. after an FBI investigation found she defrauded donors out of more than $100,000 to feed a gambling addiction. Or how about Andrew Gillum, the former Democratic mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, who was the party's nominee for governor in 2018 against Ron DeSantis? Gillum was hit with conspiracy and wire fraud charges. Jurors later acquitted him on one charge. They couldn't reach a verdict on 18 other counts against him, but they tried. The same way, by the way, another holdover from the Trump administration, special counsel John Durham, tried in his prosecutions. And of course, then there's Senator Bob Menendez, the New Jersey senator recently charged by the feds, along with his wife, in connection with this bribery scheme. After an FBI investigation, prosecutors say the senator received gold bars, a Mercedes, hundreds of thousands of dollars, while using his power and influence to help enrich 3 local businessmen and the Egyptian government. The list goes on and on. The FBI has targeted Democrats when they seemingly deserve it, and Republicans when they're the alleged offenders. And even if Senator Johnson wants to create a sort of phony political crusade to attack the FBI to appeal to his base, this isn't the time to do it. We need the FBI focused on keeping us safe. Luckily, Director Wray had the perfect response to Senator Johnson's challenge.
I see an FBI every day that conducts themselves with integrity and professionalism and selflessness and rigor. And I do not accept the characterization of our performance in this particular case.
That is not how I characterized it. I'm talking about partisanship at the top with some specific partisan actors. I said the vast majority of the 38,000 are people of integrity.
And the idea that I, as a Republican appointee and a lifelong Republican, am biased in the way that you are describing makes absolutely no sense.
No sense at all. Look, as someone who supports our local cops, sheriff's departments, state troopers, and the FBI, and who regularly criticizes the left when they unfairly target our cops, this silly push to turn the FBI into a politicized caricature puts our safety in jeopardy. That was, after all, the Homeland Security Committee. Seriously. We will have potentially dangerous issues coming in the months ahead. We need our law enforcement, all of them, feeling appreciated and hyper-focused. This political gamesmanship just does not help. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.